Have you ever felt like you just can't speak? You've been doing that language for days. Your streak on Duolingo is insane, but still, you can't speak the language. You feel really, really stuck. That's where prompts can come in really handy. So today, I want to talk to you about how to use prompts to practice languages. Any language, any level, any skill. But first up, if you want prompts more regularly, then I highly recommend you having a look at Promptly. This is my subscription service for people who want to get better at languages. When you speak more, you write more, you get fluent promptly, and that's exactly what Promptly gives you. Every single week you get a brand new writing and speaking prompt. You're able to then figure out how to use this with the various suggestions I give you for different levels, alongside the video walkthrough, so that you're not just left in the dark. You're fully informed on how you can use this for you. I'll leave info in the description so you can have a little look for yourself and decide if it's right for you. If so, would love to see you inside Promptly. All right, let's get into it. First up then, writing and speaking. So prompts are generally considered to be most useful for writing and speaking. And that makes sense, right? You're given a thing, you then produce something based on it. That's where we're going to start, but we will go further because there are other ways that you can use prompts to practice other skills like reading, like listening. But first up, before we get ahead of ourselves, writing and speaking. There are some different approaches that I take depending on kind of how I'm feeling that day, what I'm in the mood for, how much time I have to give. So the first of that is that I will follow the spark. So if I see a prompt and there is instantly something that comes to mind, I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it, right? Even if it feels like a completely random, off-the-cuff idea that maybe doesn't have much going for it, I'm going to go with it because I'm going to follow that inspiration. There's a reason that my brain has gone to that place. That's what I want to write about. That's what I want to speak about. Sometimes you don't need to get fancy. You just need to do what your brain is telling you to do. And that's what this first idea is, following that spark. The second way to use prompts for writing and speaking is to take a much more task-based and functional approach. So this is where you've maybe got a bit more energy, a bit more time that you can give to the prompt, and you want to put yourself in a very practical situation. Where are you likely to use this language? How? What sort of circumstance? Can this prompt give you something to put into those circumstances that you can then be like, yes, this is it, this is what I'm going with. Instead, sometimes I want to get a bit more specific. So rather than just write, it might be something like, okay, I'm going to write an email. And then I can go a layer deeper as well. Is it that I'm writing a formal email to a work colleague given such and such a scenario? Is it that I'm writing a complaint letter to a company about something inspired by the prompt? Or is it that I'm writing a Christmas round-robin email that is connected to the prompt because one of the topics I'm going to include is about that prompt? Do you see what I mean? So we can really give any prompt this solid, functional, task-based setup. And getting specific like this with a prompt can really help to take things down perhaps an unexpected path, but a useful one nonetheless. So if you get really stuck on the idea of prompts being kind of fun and not necessarily useful because you maybe think that you have one use of the language that you need to focus on, how is that prompt going to help you? Actually, there's always a way you can make it work and you can make it fit. And finally, in terms of writing and speaking, I might take a creative and more playful approach with a prompt. So it doesn't always have to be task-based, formal. I don't have to just go loose and follow the spark. Sometimes I can be structured, but in a creative or more playful way. So this might look like getting playful with poems, maybe looking into idioms or rhymes or something that I can include in what I'm creating. The main thing to remember here, in fact with all of this, is that nobody needs to see or hear what you create. This can be just for you. If you have someone you want to share it with and you trust and you feel safe doing so, by all means go ahead. But sometimes we really hold ourselves back from being creative and playful with a language because we feel stuck on having to do it right. Like if we showed this to someone, would they think, oh yes, I see you're good at that language? Or would they think, what are you doing, right? That doesn't matter here. We can get playful, we can get creative. Nobody has to see it. So, don't be embarrassed to play with your language when the mood takes you. Just allow yourself to explore. Next up then, I want to talk about reading and listening. So typically, we expect prompts to be a writing prompt or a speaking prompt or something that prompts us to produce the language, but they can equally be a source of what we're going to consume next that's relevant, that's interesting to us. AKA, they can be a source of inspiration for reading or listening. So the first idea here is to research the topic. Prompts can act as a really, really good inspiration for further research into something that interests you. And what form that research takes is really up to you. So that could mean that you're reading something about that prompt in the language on Wikipedia. It could mean that you found a podcast that you're going to listen to that's interviewing someone who knows all about this topic. Whatever it is, there's ways that you can explore and that include reading and listening as part of that based on the prompt. And it's also a really good chance to bring in your own interests here. Anytime that you can combine your own interests with your languages, 100% do it, 10 out of 10. Best thing you can do, like make it fun all the time. I'll give you an example. Let's say that the prompt is red and you love music. Can you find some songs that include the word red in the language that you're learning in the title of those songs or in the lyrics of those songs? And if so, do you then want to go down that rabbit hole of reading up those lyrics and adding in music? If so, Music Maestro that I have available, very, very useful, teaches you how to combine music and languages. I'll pop a link to that in the description for you. Next up is expert opinions. So I mentioned briefly that idea of maybe finding an interview or a podcast talking to someone who knows all about this topic. But we can then take that further because that then gives us a chance to discover more and really expand our vocab and understanding on that topic because this person, they know what they're talking about. So that prompt acts as this spark of inspiration to then really expand a whole topic of interest for you, which is pretty cool. And texts for language learners. So this one's really interesting. Everything that I've mentioned so far in terms of reading and listening is, well, I'm thinking at least in terms of things that are often designed for native speakers of the language, right? So that means you're probably not going to understand 100% flawlessly. That's not often the goal anyway, but perhaps there are some texts designed for language learners about this topic based on this prompt that you can then go and read and listen to. I really like Bilingua for this. There's a lot on there and it's updated quite regularly. There's a good range of languages, really short texts as well, like it's not overwhelming. You don't feel like you have to sit and read a whole novel, you know? And so that could be a good resource. The other idea here would be to use ChatGPT, where you could insert a prompt, a different kind of prompt, an AI request prompt rather than a writing or speaking prompt or language prompt, and you could ask it to create that text for you. So it would be something like, I am a level language learner. I am a B2 French learner. Please create a short text in language around X number of words based on prompt topic here. You can also tell it what you especially want to practice. So you might add something like, I would especially like to see insert grammar point here or relevant vocab topics here, and then be really clear with your instructions. So say something like, show a closed version of this text with X number of words missing, then show the full text, then ask me X number of questions. Do not, be really strict about this, be really clear, do not show me a translation into English until I request it. Do not answer the question until I request it. Thank you. Always say thank you just in case the robots ever take over. I feel like that's just, you know, putting us in good stead. And yeah, give that a go. See what happens. I do quite like doing this. It's quite fun. And then you get these little texts. You've created this resource, this activity for yourself, and you can do with it what you will then. You can then take that. You could then even write or speak something from that. So the prompt has created this resource and this activity, which has created then another inspiration for you to do more production, right? Do more output. Really, really cool chain of language activities for you. And then finally, whether it's writing or speaking, reading or listening, whatever you've done with a prompt, that final stage that you can do to really use prompts for your language learning is self-review. Now, I want to be clear. I don't do this every single time, every single prompt that I use. Like, no, of course, like I'm a human, I have other things to do. But when I do have time, it always feels really, really good when I'm able to basically double the value of the prompt. Really just very exciting. It's not about catching every single mistake and getting it perfect every single time. It's about doing the best you can, right? And that's a much more just relaxed but still effective approach to the whole thing. So I go through, I do the self-review, however I've decided to do it, I decide what's worth learning, I then learn that stuff in the way that works for me. And this is such a useful skill, developing this self-review, because like I said, it doubles the value of that prompt time. So no longer are you just writing stuff down and thinking, okay, I never want to look at that again, and then moving on to something else and moving on to something else and never going back. You're doubling the value of that time that you spent because you're able to then learn from it. So effective. This is exactly why there's a workshop called How to Get Good at Self-Review inside Promptly. Every single week inside Promptly, you get a brand new prompt. You get multiple suggestions of how you can use this prompt, and you get a video walkthrough so you're not left in the dark on your own. As well as that, you get the How to Get Good at Self-Review workshop and how to use prompts at any level for any language as well. So they are there. You can watch and rewatch as many times as you like during your time inside Promptly. Promptly is just such a good accountability booster as well. If you really struggle with doing more because nobody knows, if you know that you're committed and you're paying every month for Promptly, you're going to want to show up and do the work. That can be really helpful for some people as well. So yeah, take a look, decide for yourself if it's for you. The link is in the description below, and I look forward to welcoming you in. If you have any questions about prompts, about Promptly, about however else I can help you, let me know in the comments or email me, lindsay@languages.com. I will speak with you very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Do all of the YouTube things, like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, all of that stuff that helps to tell YouTube, yes, this is good, people want to see more of this, and share it with more people to spread the word and help more people learn languages their way. All right, I will speak to you very soon. Thank you. Bye.